Hello and welcome to the YASEcast. This is Lamo, as always. I was going to put the episode number in there, but I forgot what episode we're recording, so I'm
25.
stalling. Episode 25 of the YASEcast.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you. As always, Morgan is here not only to remind me what episode it is,
But mostly.
I mean, we all have our parts. And we also got Vince with us here today.
Hello.
Hello, indeed. So let's get right into it. Oh my gosh, what a day it's been. What have y'all been up to this past week?
Teacher.
Who's going first?
You know, that was on me. I should have directed that towards a person. I never do, and then I look around and I think,
Why is no one
Morgan.
responding?
Morgan, what have you been up to this past week?
I've had a couple of things that I've been up to that I am actually super stoked to talk about on this pod in particular.
Oh, hell yes.
So it's been 2 weeks, two whole weeks since we last recorded, and I took your recommendation actually, and I sat down with my partner. We made a baked brie with a really nice raspberry jam and some fancy crackers, and we sat down, and I thought we were going to only watch a couple of episodes of Over the Garden Wall, and we just watched the whole thing.
It's so good.
It was so good.
They're only like 10 minutes each too, so
Yeah.
it's perfect to go through it. But it's so easy to be like, hey, you know what? All right, we've watched half of it. We can just put the rest away, not have to worry about like the same problems you'd have if you like tried to resume a movie from previous day. So
yeah, it's like it's basically a movie, but it like breaks in these little episodic portions.
Yeah.
Even though there is like an overarching plot to it. So I loved it, and like looking back on it, and like it's been a couple of years. Like the voice work in it is outstanding. Christopher Lloyd as the woodsman was genuinely unnerving at times. And
amazingly well done.
Oh my gosh.
Holy shit.
And I don't want should we do spoilers? Should we do spoilers here?
It's been out for a number of years now.
It's like 2014. Like it's been like 6 years.
Yeah.
So basically the basic premise of the series starts with two brothers, one played by Elijah Wood, the other played by somebody else who's not Elijah Wood, that are lost.
That's exactly how I think of it too. I know one's Elijah Wood, and that's like all I've got.
And basically they're two brothers lost in the woods, and it gradually unfolds into a very fairy tale dynamic where they come across these different characters. And it's got a very like Grimm Brothers kind of feel to it, where there's a sense of danger and it's like a spookiness to it, but also kind of a whimsy in the world. But there's like what I love about it, and like I think what has kept me thinking about it, are the little bits where they give you niblets, little bitty niblets of the world and the world building to chew on. Like they meet the woodsman early on. At the climax of the story, we find out that he's been grinding oil for this lantern because he's been tricked into believing that his daughter's soul is in it, and if the light goes out, that she'll be gone forever. And then actually it's sort of like the archetypical villain, the beast, that kind of spun the story for him, that it's actually the beast soul that's in the light, and he's been grinding these trees that are actually grown from people that are like they get lost in the woods.
People that have given up on life, essentially.
That have given up on life have been tricked by the woodsman into basically being killed and ground into oil to keep this light burning. And like you don't get anything more. You don't need to know anything else about him. It's like that little bit of his backstory, coupled with how brilliantly Christopher Lloyd acts that character. He's only around for like 20 minutes in this series, and he's so memorable.
Yeah. It's so incredibly well done. I mean, the voice work he does is absolutely amazing, and the bits of the story, the way that they drip that information to you, is done so well. I like the fact too that for other than maybe like a total of 1 second, you never actually see the beast.
Oh yeah,
you'll see his you'll see his shadow, and then it's like if I freeze frame here, I can get like a glimpse of him from like a close up angle. Like it's super well done. I love it. I love that show.
It's super good. Thank you so much for that recommendation.
I'm so happy you enjoyed it.
Strong recommend. And if you're looking for something that's like spooky-ish or spooky light for October, because like let's see, this will be coming out next week on by like the 27th. So like you got some October left, and you know what?
Yeah.
Every day can be Halloween if you want it to be, or if you're gay, you don't have a choice. I'm sorry.
Every day is Halloween if you're gay.
Yeah. Every day is gay Christmas.
Which is actually Halloween.
Yeah. And
holiday. As a straight, I will never understand the true meaning of holidays. It's just I will never.
I think you can get other holidays.
Grasp.
It's not Halloween.
It's not okay. As long as I get Thanksgiving, that's really
that's a universal.
what matters. Yes.
Best
holiday.
I'm not welcome home for mine anymore. At least not the family
You
Thanksgiving.
can come to our apartment.
See, and that's the real meaning of Thanksgiving. See, you're getting it. Like, if you just you get kicked out of your family and you just go into other people's Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Y'all got hella families.
Like the families that you choose. And
exactly.
Speaking of families that you choose, another thing that I finally got around to watching because it finally showed up on Netflix, I finished The Good Place. And felt a lot of things. I felt a lot of things.
I'm so happy that when the finale originally dropped, and I guess season 4 in general, it obviously hasn't been on Netflix, but it was like the one time I was like, okay, time to start using Hulu, because that was the one place where they had it like coming out simultaneously for release. And so I watched it all on there, and then it ended, and like I saw the finale like as it happened and was an emotional wreck. And then all of my other friends were like, oh, I'm just waiting for it to come out on Netflix or whatever. And I'm like, no, I need to find someone else who's watched it so I can talk to it.
I need somebody who has Hulu.
Yes.
That was definitely that was a much harder emotional journey. I think I was crying for like most of the last 3 episodes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can't think of a better way for that show to end.
It's an incredibly strong finale. I've said this before, but I think the thing that I really appreciate the most about The Good Place, or at least one of the things that I appreciate a lot about them, the show doesn't drag on.
No.
It's 4 seasons with 10, 12 episodes each.
Yeah. They
had an idea, they had a story they wanted to tell, and they did it. Which I love. I mean, you look at things like, and I'm gonna name drop The Office here only because the director Michael Schur was also the director for The Office, which a show that largely was dragged out way longer than it should have been. So to have that be a concise package that doesn't overstay its welcome is so incredibly refreshing.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's much like Over the Garden Wall. We ended up kind of watching it accidentally. Of like, let's watch like a couple episodes, and then we ended up watching like 6. And then the next morning we were like, well, we're building IKEA furniture anyway. Do you want to just finish The Good Place? So that's what ended up happening. And just, I mean, maybe we can do a longer The Good Place. Oh, there's a loud ass siren outside.
Yeah, the cops are coming to tell everyone to go look at or to go watch The Good Place.
It will make you a better person. I took an ethics course. Yeah, it was good. I don't think it could have ended better. We should probably do like a Good Place spoiler cast at some point. I'm sure like Jarv and Jay would want to get on that. But I don't know. Like, I have a lot of feelings about it. Like, the one thing I want to throw it out there at the end with the dance crew, and they finally learned to dance. Yes. That was probably the first time I started crying, and I realized like, it's only going to get worse from here.
Oh yeah, it does. I love that the sentence that closed the show, which I don't want to say anything for anyone who might still be watching it. Obviously, it just came to Netflix pretty soon. I was not expecting that combination of words to get me to both cry and laugh at the same time.
Yeah.
But it was such a perfect ending. God, what a good fucking show.
We stand a fire squid.
We stand a fire squid.
That's me.
Vince. That's you. Vince, what have you been up to this past week?
I've seen none of those things, but I have almost finished up rewatching Voyager, which is only like a semi-rewatch because I've been putting it on when I go to sleep. But I've seen it like twice before, so it's fine. But one thing that I don't know like how much sci-fi y'all watch, and like other stuff does this too, but I really love body swap episodes. Like,
They're
I don't know if
idea.
anybody else feels this way, but they are my absolute favorite plot. And I just saw, it's like season 7, episode 7, where the doctor and, well, it's not really a body swap, but the doctor like gets control of 7 of 9's body. And it's really funny because like Jerry Ryan she's like a Borg in that show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing is she's really emotionless and, you know, learning how to be a person or whatever. And the doctor like takes control of her body and he's all like super emotional and stuff. And Jerry Ryan's actually a really good actress. Like she becomes Robert Picardo in that episode. It's really amazing.
Damn.
Voyager.
So I know Morgan has been rewatching or watching for the first time DS9.
Yeah, I'm watching DS9 for the first time.
If you become a Star Trek person now, like people hate Voyager, but it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good.
It's actually, so my partner is like the big moving force that's turning me into a Star Trek person. It's a cultural exchange. Like I'm teaching her about beer and she teaches me about science fiction.
Those two things are, yeah, that makes sense.
This weekend I taught her what the term option select means in the context of a conversation. It's like, because I didn't think about it. I was like, oh, that's the OS.
Yeah.
Fighting games have poisoned my brain. But yeah, I think Voyager is actually her favorite series. She likes it more overall than DS9. So that'll probably be the next thing.
I don't know about all that, but I will definitely fight for Voyager not being that bad. People really hate on it, and it's not that bad.
There's a lot of... I feel like every iteration of Star Trek I've seen has stuff to hate on. Like, even Next Gen has weird stuff and bad episodes in it.
For sure.
And I'd be like, oh, Next Gen is so good. Like, it's got some bad episodes.
Bad episodes.
I was spoiled on one thing in DS9 that I'm super hyped for. The episode where... You know, like, the one original Star Trek episode is, like, the problem with Morps or something? With all, like, the fuzzy balls that take over the station?
Tribbles.
Tribbles, there. Apparently there's, I've been told, there's a DS9 episode where they time travel by mistake and they end up in the background of that episode.
Yeah.
So they're on the original
That's also
Enterprise
a very
during
good
the Trouble
episode.
Yeah, and they're there for the original Trouble with Tribbles episode. So they're like
That's amazing.
Computerized into the background of it.
Oh my god. I actually do want to start DS9 because I have heard good things.
It's so
and
good.
I've been kind of in the mood for like a science fiction-y show, so it seems like the right thing to do.
Once I've successfully completed tricking everyone in Yase into watching DS9, whether by my own power or through their partner, we can do the DS9 Yase retrospective.
That would be so tight. That'd be so tight.
What's going to happen first? I start Deep Space Nine, or what is it? Jay finally watches Evangelion, or is it Jarv that has to watch
Jarv has to watch
Jarvis Jarvington.
That's not going to happen. It's been like 6 years that I've known him.
Years.
Like, and even more than that. No, it's like, oh god, it's been a long time. It's been almost
a
decade.
really long time.
It's been almost a decade of telling Jarv to watch Evangelion. Look, if Austin Walker telling him to do it wouldn't happen, it's not going to happen.
God damn. That's right. Jay needs to watch Ping Pong, which, Jay, if you're listening to this, please just fucking watch Ping. Jay, you probably have some honeymoon time or something. On your honeymoon, you should watch Ping Pong, the animation. Jay, you just got married. Use this honeymoon time to watch Ping Pong. There's never been a better time.
Jay's going to watch Ping Pong, adjust his glasses, and be like, maybe I have become an Akuma.
No. But yeah, damn. I'll have to finally start getting that on there. I think that's all on Netflix too, so it should be pretty easy to get my hands on.
Yeah, I believe it still is.
Nice. So over in my little corner of the world, now usually I'm just like, I don't know, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 and that's it, just still playing that. That's still true. Yes, still playing Final Fantasy 14. However, I've gotten very much back into Minecraft lately, which is not something I thought I would be saying ever at all. I haven't played Minecraft in about 8 years. It's been a very long time since I played Minecraft. One of the streamers I watch for a lot of Mario stuff has started playing Minecraft again, though, and they opened up a server, so I was like, you know what, all right, I'll, like, a day before it opened up, I was like, you know, I'll re-download Minecraft, get back into it, see what's changed. Everything's changed. It's like an entirely different game. There's so many things that I didn't know existed, and I'm just, like, walking around like, holy shit, this is new. There's just, like, evil, like, humanoid NPCs that'll have strongholds above ground, and they'll just, and, like, it's nuts. There's so many different things. There's trading in the game now with all these, with, like, not evil NPCs. But there's so many things that I just want to explore again, which is super cool. Apparently the Nether is way different than it used to be, so I want to find a way to get into the Nether and take a look at shit there. Just everything looks really cool, so I'm getting back into it. I installed like a texture pack and some shaders and shit like that, so the game looks really pretty. Actually, I don't even know if it's shaders, but it's like lighting and like some other like small things. So the game still looks like Minecraft, but it's like, oh shit, there's good lighting and God rays now, which is not something I would have expected to see in Minecraft like ever.
Crepuscular rays.
Sure. But yeah, it's been absolutely wild, and I'm getting back into it. And okay, well, now I have a house, and I built a house here. Nah, fuck this house. This house sucks. I'm gonna move somewhere else. I'm gonna build another house over there. Like, I'm just having a blast. Just playing the game again and kind of getting reacquainted with a lot of things that I forgot about. But also finding these new things that are completely foreign to me and add a level of depth that on some level I could ignore if I wanted to, which is very nice. But it's also rewarding to kind of dive into a lot of these new things that I might not have even bothered to look at before. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Sick. I know, like, Minecraft to me has always been like, the experience you're describing is, I'm sure, what I would have, because I played it in like early beta, like back when, you know, Hatsune Miku, who shall not be named, the Notch, whose wall of candy went bad because he had no friends and became a white nationalist, was still involved with the game. So, but I'm sure if I were to go back to it, like, I always hear about like this awesome stuff that people find in it, and I'm sure it would be like really cool to come back to, because it sounds like a totally different experience, and like hearing you talk about it gets me wanting to reinstall Minecraft.
It's been a lot of fun, and I'm very glad that I reinstalled. Really, really, really am. There's been, oh god, what was one of the things I was doing? Oh yeah, so there's just like, I was down in a cave doing cave shit, getting my mine on. You know how it be.
Get your mine on.
Yeah. It's okay. Oh, okay. So monsters, whatever, blah 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 blah. And then there's just like, there's a fucking witch down there. Like, just a human being in some robes and a hat, slinging potions at me. I died. But I was not expecting, like, all the shit, like, I was not expecting. They added shields in now, too, so you can actually block projectiles and shit, and there's, like, random, like, zombies that are very clearly, like, hell, you used to be, like, a human villager at one point. Like, you actually have, like, you're wearing, like, equipment and things like that, and I don't know. I'm enjoying it a whole lot. They added some new, and some of these are a little bit older, of course, but they added new, like, you can come across like random like chasms just in the middle of the world, or even like underground chasms that just like, it's just like a straight drop. It's just a canyon in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, you'll see it's a lot of times just like active lava going through it and shit like that, and it's so cool just getting lost in Minecraft again. I've always really liked games where I have a good sense of exploration, and it's been a while since I feel like I've really had that. So it's been really refreshing to go back to Minecraft and be able to kind of scratch that exploration itch.
I feel that. I feel that a lot.
It's been a good time.
I've been playing a little bit of Genshin Impact, and that's, excuse me, is giving me like a little bit of that exploration scratch, like the tiny little bit, but it's just not enough to satisfy it. It's enough to let you know that it's there. And kind of like when Jarv was last on the pod, friend of the pod, Jarv Dog Jarvis. Like going through it, and you kind of brought up this idea of like, you know, where are the physics at, that it's like it feels like something is missing from that experience. I'm actually gonna close my window because there's a lot of, I don't know what's going on, but you know, when you live in DC, sometimes there's a lot of helicopters.
I don't know why I didn't put it together that was a helicopter. I thought it was like, oh, that's just like a propeller plane, which could also be the case, but
No, that's in Georgetown.
Probably
That's
isn't.
in Georgetown. We don't live there. No.
damn.
But yeah, like it's enough to it's like it scratches the itch enough that you just kind of realize that it's there. And kind of like Jarv said when he was last on the podcast, so just like, yeah, like, but where's the physics at? And like, as far as like an exploration sandbox, like Minecraft is there anything that has that kind of experience really?
Dwarf Fortress.
That humans can play?
Well, that's a different story.
Like I've tried Dwarf Fort. I had a Dwarf Fort phase. I made a lot of soap. It didn't end well.
There are cool stories to be found in Dwarf Fortress, but it's playing that game. I feel the same way about playing Dwarf Fortress that I would about playing EVE Online. There are a lot of really cool, interesting stories that happen in this game, but Lord Almighty, they're hard to access.
Yeah, it's like even just I don't know what Dwarf Fort looks like now, but just the UI alone, like being able to
Yeah.
interpret and have to contextualize what's happening.
You can't just jump into it,
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like. Yeah.
You have to have like a particular kind of brainworms.
Yeah. I don't think the Lamo Brainworm farm has gone quite there quite yet, but we'll see. We'll see how that happens in the future. But yeah, that has been me. It's been a lot of Minecraft lately. That being said, I know the big thing we kind of wanted to talk about lately. What was it? Was it season? Did new season pass get announced, or did it just get dropped for Grand Blue?
So, in the world of Grand Blue Fantasy Versus,
I should have let you lead us into this one because I'm walking in a little bit blind here.
All right, so this is a broader conversation about pricing models and stuff. This is going to be kind of our main subject. It's been on my mind for a bit. So Grand Blue Fantasy Versus dropped a new character yesterday, Cagliostro. So if you are like me and you have mobile game brainworms, I've been playing Grand Blue Fantasy since before that game was available in English. It was hard back then, but I've been like playing it for now 5-something years. Like I'm very invested in this franchise. I'm very invested in fighting games. It feels like it's a perfect marriage of the two. So I saw this character coming out. I'm a big fan of Cagliostro as a character. It has been for a long time. And I'm like, this is dope. I want to play this character. So I go to look at like what are the options for the DLC. So in my case, Lamo and I split a PS4 copy of the Japanese version, and then I later bought it on PC. So it's like, now which platform am I going to buy this on? And then I look at how much the season pass is, because this is now season 2. So I don't have it. It's recently come out. There's 3 more characters in it. Yada yada yada. It's $35.
Wait, for 3 characters, it's $35?
It's 6 characters total, 2 of which are out.
Okay.
1 is announced, so it's coming out in December, and then there's like 2, or no, it's 5 characters. Maybe there's 6. It's 5 or
That's
6. It's
still a
one of those
lot.
2. But either way, it's like $35 on top of the base game, which already has had 1 season of DLC. This game came out in
hasn't
February.
been out for a year.
This game came out in February. And so I am like the probably target audience for this game, and I'm looking at it, and I had this moment, and I thought to myself, okay, so I got to decide what platform I'm buying this on, because I don't want to double dip on this.
Yeah.
Then I would have to maybe even like it's a me problem with the game share and the yen and having the Japanese copy and everything as well. But I'm kind of looking at this, and that got me thinking about other games too. I was watching NLBC and I was watching Dragon Ball Fighters. They've had a big update in the last couple of months. Looks like a fun game. I look at because I fell off pretty early on in that game. Like how much DLC is there? It's like $80 of DLC to unlock all the characters.
Oh.
And you look at that, and it's like, I would basically have to buy the game again just to be able to do training mode against other characters and know what they do. And that's just, if I'm sitting there and I'm having that thought, it makes me wonder about like what other people's relationships are with this kind of pricing model, and is it really sustainable? Because is it like a random player going to look at that and say, man, I can't, like, I saw a stream with that Grand Blue game, that seems really cool. can't wait to spend $120 to buy the game in 2 season passes.
Yeah.
Like, what does it look like for the fighting games? Because I feel like as a core player, like, I'm getting priced out because if I want to play a game, it's like I have to, if I haven't been current with it, if I just have like a hankering, like, yeah, I'm going to go like boot that game up and play it, see what's new or whatever. It's like I now have to go, anticipate buying, a $30 to $40 pack of DLC.
And the thing that I hate is that, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, it's not even, you have to buy the DLC, not just like, it's not optional really, because you can't lab against the characters. You can't try them out in like training mode. You have to have that DLC. And then also too, it's just like, it sucks for people who are running these tournaments because now you need to have a setup that has all of the DLC. Are you going to be able to find someone in your community who's going to be able to, bring that setup with everyone on it? Or, I mean, for a game that you might not really want to play, do you also have to shell out for this DLC in case people are coming from the other areas and it's like, oh, well, shit, I don't have this character.
And in order even to buy it
sucks.
Multiple times for like maybe 2 or 3 setups. It's just like, I don't know. I guess I had never really thought about it because typically I've been sort of in the loop and it feels more like buying a yearly expansion pass. But especially in the case of Granblue, like it hasn't even been a year.
Which is insane to me. I mean, compare this current generation of games, if you will. Street Fighter V, Dragon Ball Z, Granblue. You can probably throw Guilty Gear in there as well too. But compare that with last generation. I mean, for what it's worth, the pricing model that Capcom did for Street Fighter 4 was great. So base Street Fighter was $60, Super Street Fighter 4 was $40, and granted you couldn't kind of get around that, but they had enough other things that were adding to where it felt like it was justified. Lobby system, replay stuff, all that shit, and it was like 10 or 15 new characters, like a good amount of new characters. But past that, it was just like, okay, here's a new one that's coming out. You can upgrade to it for $15, or if you don't have any of the Street Fighter games, you can buy like everything on one disc for like $40, maybe $60. So there was always just hey, you can buy in at the original price and get absolutely everything at $60, which is nice. Like, I super appreciate that. But now we're looking at, Dragon Ball Z, which, to be fair, Dragon Ball Z has been out for almost 3 years now. That came out in January 2018.
What? It's been 3 years? Yeah. Oh, time left.
Yeah.
Time flies.
So, granted, still a lot of DLC in there. That still is like a high cost barrier for a lot of people. If I think about where I was at 5 years ago, I would look at that number and say, you know what, I'm probably not going to bother getting DBZ.
Is that still $60 new too?
Let's see. I'm going to check the Steam page.
Looking,
now.
Steam is $60. I have that pulled up right now, actually. Steam is still $60. Which I'm sure it goes on sale, of course, but it's not a good look.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, I was just thinking, the other day when some people were talking about this, you brought up the pricing model. There was some tweet going around about how, it's these old games were so expensive or whatever. But like, I lost my train of thought. They kind of weren't, because last generation, those update packs, like if you just wanted to update, it was about $15. If you hadn't bought it before and you just wanted to buy the game in its current state, that was about $40. Before that, if you were buying Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo, you bought like 3 or 4 versions of that at $70 or $80 a piece, but those weren't coming out every 9 months or 7 months or whatever. Those were at least a year apart. And
even then, it's not like there was the technology around to do anything.
Sure, and they had to.
Yeah.
There was no other way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My big complaint about the DLC, I think a lot of what people feel bad about is kind of psychological, although Granblue is egregious. My complaint is that when you were buying those upgrade packs, you knew what you were getting. When I went out and bought Super Street Fighter 4, I knew what characters were coming out. Now they want to sell me this $35 DLC pack. Hope you get the character you like, which I guess...
Yeah.
Granblue is a gotcha, so that's kind of funny, but I suppose it's on brand for that game. But if you bought the season pass for DBZ, Lord knows what character you're going to get. I don't want to spend that before I know what I'm going to get.
Who knows what kind of unforeseen Gokus are going to be in your future.
Yeah, what if you bought the DLC and you got 7 Gokus?
Got 7 Gokus. Oh my god. That would actually be hilarious.
Oops, all Gokus.
There's oops, all Gokus. Here's Goku from like one particular episode. Here's Goku from a filler episode that no one really liked.
Here's Goku in the healing tank from the Namek arc. He just doesn't do anything. He's
Yeah.
just in the tank.
Yeah. He just chills. It's very easy to kill him.
Very easy character to play by not playing.
Yes.
No, I feel that though, and I think the nice comparison, because that was also my entry into fighting games with Street Fighter 4, and that felt like once a year you spent $15, you knew the characters you were getting, you got a balance update, you got new stages, you got all that, and it was all bundled together in this one release. And now it's been kind of I know everything's different and the technology is different.
That's right, that came with the costumes too.
Yeah. Like, you got stuff, and eventually there was, like, they had bonus costumes, like the animal costumes and stuff that you could buy and whatnot, and that was, fine. But even Street Fighter V has kind of kept to that model. I mean, when they came out with that Champion Edition, where you basically got, like, everyone up until Seth, and the costumes, and the stages, and everything, I bought that. It was $40. I had not bought Street Fighter 4 up until, like, for 5 since vanilla, and I was like, and I played it for a while. And like, because that felt like a fair amount for someone that was in my position, or like, yeah, $40. Like, all right, cool. Like, I get all these characters, these stages. I get all the other additions that have been made to the game. But then I go into like and look at other companies, like we're talking about Bamco's handling of DBZ, where it's like, all right, I've been out for a while. Where is that like Ultimate Edition, where it's like $60 and you get all the characters in the DLC, or something like that? Or even like something like with Grand Blue, where it's like, okay, well, are you going to discount the base game now or something? Or no, it's still $60, and then that first season pass is like $30, and then season 2 is $35, and admittedly you're not even going to get all of the characters until the beginning, like it's like spring of next year. I don't know, it just sucks. And it's something that was like, it was a weird feeling for me to as someone who's kind of felt being part of like the air quotes core audience for fighting games and used to just buy every game, to sit at this junction where it's like between the struggles of like, which platform am I going to buy it on, and where is the community, and I don't even know what characters are going to be in this pack. I feel very old, I guess is the way to put it.
And that's actually the thing that I was just thinking about. It sucks to me that the only way that I feel like I could really like realistically afford to get a lot of these fighting games and try them out is if I had the money that like I'm making now. But now I'm too old to have any fucking time to sit down and play and really get into any of these fighting games.
And now you're a podcaster.
And now I'm a white dude who is podcasting.
It's unfortunate. It's just weird. I know you had something you brought up in the group chat, and I'm curious. Like, I want to poke and prod here, because you had mentioned there's a retro angle to this as well, with pricing and DLC, and I'm really interested in that, because that's something I don't have a lot of experience in, and I want to know. So regale me, lame one.
I'm just looking at Vince, and I was like, yes, this is the CRT conversation we had a couple weeks ago, just wrapped up in a new wrapper.
Well, how so? Like, how does this get into like a DLC pricing model and like the barriers of entry? And all right, now I see where it is. Okay, okay, my brain's making CRTs are expensive.
Well, CRTs, but just the boards with a lot of old games where everybody wants to play. Like, you can buy other versions, but retro gaming is really popular. We talked about that before, and all those boards are mad expensive now.
It's so fucking disappointing and annoying.
I think if you try to buy an already Darksoft modded CPS3, it's like $800. And
that doesn't surprise me.
As far as the price, like I look at the price of Grand Blue, and I think that's stupid. That's too much money for a fighting game. I'm never going to pay that. But then I think about how many times I've paid money for Third Strike. You got that PS2 version, you paid $60 for that. You got that Dreamcast version. That's like expensive now because it's hard to find. So if you bought that, you paid a bunch of money probably.
Yeah.
Then you bought OE for $35. Then we all bought 30th for $30.
I don't want to talk about 30th. I do not want to talk about 30th, man.
I don't want to talk about it either. I told people I'm 27.
Oh man, yeah. Like I'm looking on eBay right now because I hate myself, and yeah, it's just like I've seen someone selling just the cart for 3S, not the disc, not any of like the memory that you need, just for like $100, like just the fucking cart. Arcade hardware is such a fucking blow up. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
CPS2 is still kind of cheap. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, and you should be able to get. You can probably get a cheaper CPS2 board and just Darksoft it if you really need. So, but also, hey, CPS2 is on the way for Mister. So that's what I'm really holding out for. I don't know if it's gonna be possible to CPS3 on there, but shit, just buy a Mister. Get the arcade accurate emulation. Then you can bring that shit to locals and it's perfect. Just fucking plug a stick in. All right, I've done my shilling for Mister, but
all right. Well, I appreciate it. It's an interesting world. Like it's something I guess I had never really thought about before in terms of like cost barriers to a lot of stuff. Because a lot of my experience with retro is like gonna go boot up Fightcade. Oh, rev up those dungeons.
Which that works for like a lot of it. But yeah, like getting the original hardware is a pain because you have to figure too, okay, well, what if a part goes bad on it? Then it's like, okay, well, shit. One, is this something that I can even service? Or two, is it something where am I just fucked? Right? I mean, I know CPS3 had batteries on the board that if they went bad, it was like, that's it. You can't run the game anymore. Like the memory that you
nuked
need,
your board.
Yeah. They had what was called suicide batteries because once the batteries died, so did the game. Like you could not, like you could physically not get the decryption keys that were stored to actually run the game.
Why?
Thankfully there is a process that you can fix that and get around it. But like arcade hardware is such a pain in the ass, and yeah, it's become like CRTs and PVMs and stuff like that. It's starting to become a lot more of the it's getting into that like collector niche where now it's like someone has it and they're gonna sell you, they're gonna jack up the fucking price and make as much money as they can off you.
So I guess like it's a different side of the same coin from like DLC and everything, and ultimately, much like the moral of The Good Place, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, and we are all imprisoned by it.
The only real like solace I can find in this, and it's not necessarily solace, but there are people who go out and they want to collect these things because they enjoy playing them, and sometimes they'll cut you a fair deal on it. But with the DLC coming from ArcSys, coming from Bamco, that's directly from the people who are making it, and some of that is just like, it doesn't come across as a fuck you necessarily, but it feels like it.
It does feel like, I think it's also because, I mean, we're going to keep using this as a touchstone because it's my touchstone, but it's like, but from other models, it's like, there are better ways to do this.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there are ways, at least like more consumer friendly ways to do this versus like, all right, well, it's been 6 months. Here's a $35 pack of DLC. And, I wouldn't mind it so much if, and I think some games have done this. I can't remember if Granblue does it. I think Street Fighter V actually does specifically, where even if you don't own a character, if you lose to them in ranked, you have the option to go to training mode against them. You just have to lose to them, I think, first to do it. But even if you don't own the character, you have that option. And like, if I could do that, like, just let me go to training mode with them and see what they do. And if anything, it's actually going to spark a sale for you. I'm like, wow, like Belial do be kind of sick though, and my Belial do be kind of nice. I want to go fuck some people up, and like then I go on like, oh, I got to go pay $8 to go on ranked. Crack open a 2-liter bottle of Shasta and pay my $8 and go play ranked by like my hour 1 Belial. That sounds like a bad night, but hey, I've done worse.
I was gonna say, I was like, ooh, where are we going with this one?
It's bad times.
But yeah, I mean that's one of my biggest gripes is just let people do training mode with these characters regardless of whether or not they paid for them. Let them let your players who maybe aren't going to want to buy them or going to want to play against him. I have my main. I know who my main is. This is my boy. They're my boy in every single iteration of this game. Let me practice against them as my main. Let me do that stuff with them. But two, let me just be like, hey, you know what? I don't want to go into a blind purchase. Let me check them out. Let me feel more comfortable about spending $8 on a single character, some crazy ridiculous price, which just I don't get it. I feel like something that's more friendly would reduce a lot of the very valid criticism, and I feel like it would probably even lead to more sales.
Yeah, I know this is like kind of a winding conversation and all that, but it's just something that's been on my mind. The frustration of that, of just like, cool, I love to look at a game and realize that there's like a $40 barrier between me and being able to play a game that I already bought the base game of. Yep. I don't know, I think
remember when people were mad about on-disc DLC? Because they planned this ahead of time. They were going to sell us this stuff that was already done. And now here we are.
Yeah.
At the time with on-disc DLC, I was kind of... My feelings have changed a lot. I'm trying to get back into the empathy of past Morgan. Like, we're trying to empathize with myself in the past of being like, well, I guess it's like it's functionally not that different than what was probably done already. It just saves you a big download. But it sucked then, too. That it's like, the content's done, but like we've already sectioned this off because DLC is so profitable and development costs are so high that we have to sell characters like this. If they're going to do stuff like that, I kind of wish it went more along the lines of like the Street Fighter 4 model of the characters come with other stuff or like with a balance update or with something in like a version or title update versus just like now I go boot up Granblue and like I got a bunch of X's on my character select screen that's like, hey, go spend money. And I'm like, no, dog, I'm not going to do it.
No, shoo.
It makes me feel like I have a lesser version of the game. Too.
That's why I mentioned I think part of why people don't like it is just a psychological thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking actually of the on-disc DLC, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Capcom would have never told if they wouldn't have had those DLC characters on the disc, and if they would have never told anybody there was going to be a DLC, and they released the game, and then 6 months later they were just like, oh, hey, we made these like 8 new characters. You can buy them if you want. Everybody would have thought that was sick.
Yeah.
Unless they were like too expensive.
Yep.
And if same with Granblue, if we didn't know, if they would have just released Granblue, they're like, here's the game, it's got 16 characters, let it rock. And then, here we are 9 months later. They were just, hey, we made some new characters, here they are, and just told us what they were and let me buy them if they wanted. It would make me personally, and I think a lot of other people feel better about it because it doesn't feel like they're planning to like get you, it feels more like a nice thing. Like nobody ever knew or expected we were going to get Brood War for StarCraft, and it was sick when it came out because we didn't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing I'd never put together until then about like the way this kind of planned DLC rollout works, where it's kind of like it's like upfront they're saying it's on one hand we're saying we're still working on this, and like there's kind of like we're gonna support this in the future, but in the past it was kind of cool where it was like this is a neat surprise, this is a sick surprise, like oh cool, like wait, Super Street Fighter 4 T-Hawk, I bet he's gonna be broken again. I can't wait to play Tony Hawk in Super Street Fighter 4. Yeah, and it's the same thing on Street Fighter Cross Tekken, where that was like the first real DLC controversy I can remember. If they had just like kept that in their pocket and been like, look, we made these cool characters that you wanted in the game, like Sakura and Blanca, and who else in there? Dan, I think, was in there. No, Dan's
remember.
dead in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. And then Sakura and Blanca bring him back to life in their arcade ending. That game's fucked up, actually.
In a lot of ways, Cross Tekken is fucked up.
It's fucked up in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's like if they just said like surprise, cool, it would have been like, wow, that's awesome. Instead now it's like, oh, we have this, we've been sort of conditioned now that the rollout model is, hey, every couple months you can either buy the mystery box or you can wait and like spend another $8 every couple months on a new character. That's not entirely optional because you're going to want to be able to play them or play against them.
Right.
I miss the days of surprises. I feel like I'm reminiscing on Christmas now too. When I used to like, it was a surprise. Like you didn't know what was under the tree, and now my parents are just like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "XYZ. Don't bother wrapping it. I know that's what you got me."
Yeah.
Times were simpler back in, what was like 2012, 2013.
Times were simpler. Okay, can't go into the sad place. Can't go into the sad place.
No.
Snapping out of it. Snapping out of it.
Snap happy.
Snapping
All
out
right,
of
wait,
it.
I got you. I'm going to take you right out of the sad place.
Oh, is it Hazel?
It's Hazel.
Hazel. Oh.
My dog
The
is
good
sleeping
noodle.
next to me, and in order to pull us back into the happy place, I just grabbed my webcam and
Hazel.
yeah.
Oh.
Everyone got a dose of the noodle. My favorite
Love a good
coworker.
noodle. Good coworker.
Yeah.
Doesn't get a lot done, but
You know, honestly,
for
she's
morale.
kind of like the office clown and kind of keeps me from getting more work done, but it's honestly better for my mental health.
Oh, God, that reminds me of when I was working from home earlier this year, and Erwin would jump up on my desk, and he would lay down between my monitor and my keyboard. He would just do like, "This is perfect. I can do a little typing. I could pet Erwin.
Oh.
Everything works out super well."
Back when I had cats, they would one of them would get into that spot, or would lay on my keyboard if I was playing Tekken, which was my thing at the time. And I played Kazumi, so she has the one win pose where she scritches the tiger and is like, "Oh, good kitty." So I would do it with the cat and be like, "Ione."
Oh, that rules. That rules so much.
Oh, Kazumi was so
man.
good. I kind of had the Tekken bug right now. Where
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of the Score esports videos, and
They're really good.
Tekken history is dope as hell.
Yeah.
Like,
I was watching their video on Qdons.
yeah,
a
and I was
couple
just
weeks
like, "This is a
It's
movie.
such a cool story.
This is a movie."
Yes.
He was the greatest of all time, but then he had to leave for mandatory military service. And following the death of his father, he decided he didn't want to have a normal life. He wanted to fight. And then he's recovering from a hand injury, and he comes back and he sucks and has to learn everything all over again.
It fucking ruled. Oh, it was so good.
Or everything with Arslan. I didn't know that Arslan going to Evo Japan, that he showed up as his pool was starting, having not slept for 3 nights because the transit from Pakistan to Japan was such a terrible journey for him.
Awful. Oh,
and he's barely eaten, he's barely slept. He shows up and he just rocks everyone.
Fuck.
Tekken, the stories that come out of fighting games are so much fun to watch and to reminisce on them. I was watching one of them with Julie, my girlfriend, and I was trying to we're watching the Arslan one, and I was like, "This is so sick." And she's like, "I'm invested. It's fine." It's so sick.
It's so good. Oh my God. I am probably going to watch a bunch of Score Esports videos now. I think the last one I watched was on Sonic Fox versus Perfect Legends that came out a month ago.
I'm afraid to watch that one because I think it's going to make me sad. He's already dead.
Yes.
He's already dead.
I don't know. It's been a while since I watched it, but yeah, it goes over what you would expect, but it also treats Perfect Legend with a good deal of respect too, where it's hey, don't forget he is an Evo champion at Mortal Kombat 9, and it's they don't do him dirty. So there's that.
That's good.
Carl was really mean to me once at one of the very first local fighting game events I ever went to. So I live for the Sonic Fox Perfect Legend 13-0. Also, I know about the tweet and not calling him Carl White, but I know that dude in real life. I feel like it's okay.
Yeah, that's you have met them, you know them.
Not that he probably still knows who I am, but
fuck it. That's enough. Fuck it.
Friend of the pod, Perfect Legend.
On that note, I think
look
we're
forward to
call
our upcoming guest, Perfect Legend.
That's it. We've been talking about having guests on for weeks now, and Perfect Legends. He's gonna be the first one. No, he is not.
No, he's not. But I want you
No,
guys to
he
hold
is
me
not.
accountable. I want to write a primer and reach out to some people, and be
All right.
"Hey, this is our general idea." We'll talk internally, but I got some ideas of what a guest coming on would look like, and maybe we give them the reins and say, what do you want to talk about? What's the main thing? Check in. You come up. If you have a topic, come in with it. You got a thing you want to talk about? Come in with it. We'll talk about it.
Look forward to
that
this
a lot.
and more on future episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episodes where we talk about episodes. Also, I know my dog is very cute, but you guys are lucky to not be in the room with her because she farted next to me.
Oh no. Now we really need to end the episode.
Let's end the
get out
episode
of
so I
there.
can leave.
Okay, thank you for listening to the YASEcast. This is episode 25. I would like to thank both Morgan and I'd like to thank Vince so much for joining me here tonight. I am Lamo still after the 1 hour that we've been recording. Haven't changed. We'll see what happens next week. Thank you to the listener, of course, for listening to us. You can find us. I was going to say you can find us, where you can get your podcasts and stuff like that, but obviously you've already found us because I'm implying here that you've already listened to the episode, so it's kind of backwards. We'll be back next week, though, with another hot new episode right in your feed. Until then, stay beautiful, stay all the good things.
Bye.
Bye.